Hey guys, Garrett97 again. This time with a review of the 1/44 scale high grade off the wall Airmaster from the Gundam X series. And he has a very striking red and white color scheme. Really reminds me of the McLaren Formula 1 cars at around the same time. Now we also have some yellow highlights on the chest, the crotch, and of course the V-fin. We have some very dark blue on the chest area here and on the cockpit, and as always we have some gray for the joints and a few other minor things. Then moving on to the stickers, and now the thing is, we don't get a lot of stickers. Normally that would be a very good sign. This time, however, not quite so much, because for the first time ever, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to say that we got not enough stickers. So what we got was the black ones here, which go right on here. We have the ones for the eyes, standard. We have the front camera and the back camera. Now, what stickers should we have gotten as well? The red ones on the back here. I'm gonna bring in the old no grade. As you can see, he even came with those stickers. And a few other ones that should have also been stickers. This right here should have been black or gray, and it would have been kind of a nice extra if these vents here, well, the thrusters here, had gotten black stickers as well. Also, that right there should have been white. So, a few stickers, well, you might think that the black one here or white one there, that's not a big deal, and it isn't. But why not give us red at the back of those wings here, or a gray one on his chest here? Those are some actually important things, and when you look at how little stickers we got, why not just throw a few extra ones on there? Especially considering the humongous sticker sheets we've seen with some of the latest releases, so it really doesn't make a lot of sense. But let's forget about the stickers and look at something that's a hell of a lot better. The articulation. The head goes up, not quite as much down as some of the other ones, rotates around all the way and has the usual double ball joint, so also goes backwards and forwards a bit. Then the arms aren't really hindered a lot by his wing cloak, so this here goes up and allows the arm some nice upwards movement. Will rotate around all the way. If you move it out a bit, the only time it gets in the way is for the upwards movement with the ball joint here. That's kind of hindered, but other than that, no problem at all. So we'll wiggle around on the ball joint, and then it has the usual hinge, so it goes forward really nicely. Once again, because this piece here can move up, not really hindered at all. And the arm goes up about that far, and then just a bit extra on the ball joint. Rotates around all the way and has a double elbow joint for some nice movement. Hands are, as always, on ball joints. We'll wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. And we'll also pop out the ball joint, get back in there. Then the waist here is on a double ball joint, but only the top ball joint is really going to give you any movement at all. So he will move around a bit. And then the bottom there should have a ball joint, but you can't even really extend it. It's just quite flush with the... Here, put that back in there. So it's just kind of flush with the legs. The only thing that's going to do is rotate around all the way. Then the back has some nice movement as well, but the only thing I'm going to show off right now is that the wings do have some nice outward and inward movement. It kind of makes it look a bit more dynamic in certain action poses, so that's a cool touch. And put them back in there. Front skirts, as always, molded together, but can be separated. Very nice forwards movement, backwards a bit, outwards, as always, really nice. Then rotates around until the back, until this piece here hits the peg. Then really nice double joint, bends all the way. The feet go forward, and this ankle guard here goes up a bit as well. Backwards nicely. side to side a bit and will also rotate around. And finally, because of the transformation gimmick, also has a really cool toe joint. Unfortunately, it doesn't go up. That would have been a really cool touch and might have been really interesting for some action poses. Moving on to the accessories, and of course because this is the Airmaster, we're not gonna get a lot. But unfortunately, what we do get isn't that superb either. Starting off with one really cool thing, this was only available with the 1/100 scale previously, but they're all white. Why not just give us the tip in red or give us a sticker? Like I've said in the beginning, we're not getting a lot of stickers to begin with. Just give us a red one that wraps around and then one that goes on the top. Really wouldn't have been that hard. It just sits on there. But as is, you know, kind of a bit plain and boring. So just take them off, put them to the side, and unless you're gonna paint them, forget that they exist. Then moving on with the beam rifles, the two beam rifles. So the cool thing is, they have pegs, so they will attach to either the side skirts, which they do really well, or they will attach to the arms for the transformation in a second. And now the thing about these is, we have dedicated hands for these beam rifles. The first unfortunate thing about them is we only get these trigger finger hands. It would have been cool if we got normal holding hands or closed fist hands for more static poses, or perhaps if you have a spare beam saber hanging around, but hey. And now what's really disappointing about these hands is that even though they're dedicated trigger finger hands, not seen anywhere else, the beam rifles aren't really solid. They're still flailing around. If you're gonna go and make a dedicated trigger finger hand, make sure it works with the one weapon it was designed to hold. Now, thanks to the way the arm is designed, you can kinda angle it upwards so that the stock of the beam rifle will collide with the arm and kind of provide some friction so it won't flail around. Still, I feel like this is something that shouldn't have been required, and considering that all the accessories we're getting are these two beam rifles and the two missiles, it would have been much better if they just put a bit more effort into them. Both of the accessories kind of come across as somewhat half-assed, like they did a good job, but they should have just put that little bit extra effort into them. If you're only going to give a few accessories, which with the Airmaster, well, is all they could do, you'd better make sure that they work really well. So it's just a bit unfortunate, really. So this got me thinking, what else could we do with the Airmaster? Well, fortunately enough, I found something that is actually pretty cool. When you remove the wings here, and this is something really nice about the Airmaster, you can just remove the wings and he'll kind of become a stripped down Airmaster, just like the standard gun type, but you do have these pegs here, and for everyone who remembers these here, they are a perfect fit. So if you don't want a transforming Airmaster, or you really like the base model of the Airmaster, the HG customized campaign weapons fit on those pegs absolutely perfectly. So that is one thing I'm gonna give the major props for. This is really awesome, especially if you like customizing your Gundams or your mobile suits, and considering that this is from Gundam X line, where you kind of have scavengers, and a lot of people would of course customize their mobile suits. This is a really cool touch. And finally, the main gimmick of this machine, the transformation. And some people have been disappointed with this because you have to remove the head, and they've kind of been calling it a part-former and similar to the old no grade. Well, the thing is, it might be a bit disappointing, but it's nowhere near as bad as the old no grade. For starters, the old no grade just had a peg, well, two pegs on the shield, so you just had to unpeg it and peg it into the other peg. This one actually has this nice hinge thing going on, And then just flop this over. So the transformation is really, really easy to do, and also quite reminiscent of another certain mobile suit. You know, you kind of have to turn the legs around, kind of angle them in a way a knee shouldn't bend, very similar to a certain mobile suit. Something that was very popular in the West. Another thing that O-grade couldn't do, the moving toes. There we go. Moving up like that. And now I know you have to do this, but I always found that it looked more streamlined if you just have the legs stretch out, whether it is on the Airmaster or on the Wing Gundam. And the arms go just to the side. And oh yeah, one thing I almost forgot about is you have to remove this here and then put it on there to kind of simulate that it is on a hinge and that it moved out. And yes, the unfortunate thing is that the 1/100 scale could actually do this and could just have the head still on there. So it's a bit unfortunate that the latest and supposedly greatest high grade couldn't do it, while the old no grade, well, while the old 1/100 scale no grade could. But, you know, maybe it was just going to be a bit too messy to do it. Either way, it's not too big of a deal. I'll just call it like that. It would have been awesome, and it is slightly disappointing, but in my opinion, it is definitely far from the most disappointing thing about this set. And then just put that in there. And this actually is a really nice transformation. Very sleek, not bulky at all. And this is actually kind of like the profile that a jet fighter would have, unlike some transformations which come across as very bulky. Really like the cockpit, also has some extra Vulcan guns now on there. So I really like the Airmaster's transformation and just how sleek it is. So it definitely pulled off the transformation absolutely gorgeously. And I can totally forgive it for just having to remove the head. That is a concession I'm very willing to make for a transformation like this. Also, Gerwalk mode, which actually looks surprisingly good. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, for 1,700 yen, I could only really recommend this to fans of either the Airmaster itself or Gundam X in general. The thing is, 1,700 yen is pretty expensive when you compare it to other model kits. For example, the Wing Gundam here, 1,500 yen. The Ailstrike, 1,300 yen. The Wing Zero, 1,600 yen. I'm just not seeing where the price here went. I mean, it's not particularly bulky or big. It doesn't really have any striking accessories. And the transformation isn't particularly complex. You turn the body around, you remove the head, and you slide some things around. It's not like we're talking about a Zeta Gundam transformation that is really intricate or requires a lot of part swapping, and that you get a giant extra hump of plastic in order to do the transformation. So it's not there either. And on top of that, you have those minor issues. You have the beam rifles that don't really fit into the specifically made hands for the beam rifles. I've said it before, if you're gonna make the hands for one particular accessory, they might as well fit. And then we have, of course, the missiles, which really could have used a red tip, either stickers or plastic, which would have been preferably when you look at the price. So the accessories are just a bit rough around the edges. Then we have the other stickers that are somehow missing in action. A bunch of red stickers here on the wings, a gray sticker there. So I just don't think the price is really justified, especially when you look at other kits you could get. Now, is this by any means a bad model kit? Absolutely not. It does the transformation absolutely wonderfully. Even though you have to remove the head, I have to say the transformation looks really sleek. And as far as transforming mobile suits go, or Gundams, or mobile suits in general, I think it's definitely one of the best ones for pure sleekness, other than perhaps the Zeta Plus. But it's definitely up there as a great transforming mecha. So I guess that is the third group of people I could recommend this to. If you like transforming mobile suits, this one definitely does a great job. But other than all of that, I think I would have to say that in terms of pricing and technical terms, this is, well, the worst of the all Gundam project I've seen so far. The worst is, of course, you have to put that in perspective because it's still a really nice thing. So kind of the least good of the bunch, I guess. But then finally, I have to do another comparison with the 1/100 scale, because there is actually an argument to be made for certain people to pick up the 1/100 scale over the 1/144 scale. For starters, the 1/100 scale does a transformation without any difficulty. This here just opens up and catches the head in it. So you don't have to remove the head. This part here is on a hinge as well. The transformation with the 1/100 scale, no problem at all. Color accuracy out of the box, including stickers, is better on the 1/100 scale. Then the 1/100 scale has a bit more of a bulky feel, so that is give or take. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Same goes for the panel lines on the 1/100 scale. Like it, hate it. That's why you might want to get the 1/100 scale over this one. Accessories. Well, guess what? The beam rifles are also kind of shaky in the hands. Or maybe I should say that the arms are a bit shaky when holding the beam rifles. But the missiles here have the red tips, are a bit more detailed. You might want to score that one up to the 1/100 scale. Yes, the 1/100 scale isn't really as articulate as the 1/144 scale, and it's a bit more wobbly because it is an old 1/100 scale, so you can strike that one up to the 1/144 scale. But then when we look at the prices, 1,500 yen, 1,700 yen, you can kind of start to see why some people might want to pick up the 1/100 scale over the 1/144 scale. So that is definitely something interesting to look at, because the thing I've noticed with these newer ones is usually they blow everything away. But in this case, there is actually still an argument to be made to pick up the old 1/100 scale. Finally, for some more size comparisons, here he is. Once again next to the old Airmaster and the Airmaster Burst. And let's hope that that's one of the next releases. And the thing is, with these newer Gundam X, and also the same kind of goes for the Gundam Wing kits, is that they are bigger than their older counterparts. And unfortunately, the older counterparts are actually accurate in scale, so slightly too big. And let's put these guys away. And let's hope for another future release, the Leo part here. And then let's put him next to the Gundam X Divider. And let's remove our Leo part here. And yes, that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. And put him next to the Jim Custom, a standard sized high grade. And last but definitely not least, here he is next to the Zaku 3. Which, believe it or not, is cheaper than the Airmaster. Well, that's all for this review, and see you guys next time.